Hello, my name is Ross McGill. I'm the project manager for the SeaMonitor project, and this is a brief summary slideshow of some of the actions and issues that arose from a recent joint webinar that was held between the three marine protected area projects funded through the INTERREG 5A program, those being the Compass project, the MarPAMM project, and SeaMonitor. So the first session on the first day focused on the largest piece of work going on at the moment, work packages across the three projects regarding species and environmental modeling. There were 7 presentations pre-recorded in advance of the webinar, and they were made available to all the attendees. The format for the 5 sessions across the 3 days followed the same format was followed. You had a panel moderator, in this case Fred Worski from the Ocean Tracking Network, who works primarily with the SeaMonitor project, and a series of panel members associated with the topic across the 3 projects, and from external partners as well. And after a period of time of panel discussion with some Q&A, the total group of attendees, between 60 and 80, depending on the day, of attendees would have been randomly broken up into breakout groups to have smaller group discussions on a series of topic questions that garnered for us what the issues were emerging for these particular topics and some of the ideas on how to start tackling them and work more effective together in a collaborative way. So when we looked at the issues and actions that emerged on the first day, it was first noted the amount of collaboration that actually had already started to take place. All 3 projects were well underway by this stage, and even despite COVID restrictions being in place, following regulations, there was field work done appropriately. The scientific officers and PIs across the 3 projects, when it came to certain aspects of the work like cetacean monitoring and sharing data from salmon detections across the different arrays that were able to be put out, those things had already started to take place. So there was meaningful collaboration already underway, which was good to hear about. Even some joint workshops had been held for the likes of the skate genetics and monitoring work packages. There was a recognized need for the way data sets being collected across the projects need to be integrated into different people's projects, particularly with the environmental oceanographic data being integrated with the species tracking data. Was also realized that gliders are owned and used across all 3 projects, and they need to be used as effectively and as frequently as possible given the limitations with the technology. And it was also noted that they're being used to collect multiple different types of data, from passive acoustic cetacean monitoring to how MPAs are monitored and piloting those, to the oceanographic environmental data, ADCP, and also picking up the movements of tagged species such as salmon. So in terms of actions, it was agreed that a list of specific data sets that each project is collecting across their own projects, will be sort of created and shared with the other projects, so that almost like a wish list can be made up, and the projects are aware of the data sets, the different types of data that's being collected, and why, and when, particularly, is another important question, when these data sets are expected to start to come in and can be accessed outside of people's respective projects, with the overall aim to basically improve everyone's overall results and outcomes as laid out in their letters of offer, and what they can do, and maybe even get some unexpected wins as well. And with respect to the glider, obviously it would make sense to have a cross-project glider group established, led by the SOs that are operating and deciding how to use those gliders initially. And it would also make sense to share ship time and fieldwork schedules for 2021 and 2022 even, to see where there could be some practical collaboration wins. For example, officers going out on other projects ship time to achieve some of their work. Maybe ship time being used to collect, deploy or collect equipment, pick up gliders, that sort of thing, pop up receivers, that sort of stuff, you know. And this will be picked up in the summary that Colleen's doing of the second day, which focused solely on data sharing. But there was a need as a cross-cutting theme, really, to share data, put in place some data sharing agreements, and have some more collaborative meetings to share ideas and network. That was seen as a challenge, and something that these cross-project groups can start to address. If we look at the second session on that day, it focused on another important part of the projects, particularly with SeaMonitor and MarPAMM, that's the Marine Management Plans and Protected Areas. There was one pre-recorded presentation related to this session that was put out beforehand. Katie Gillum, who leads that work package for the MarPAMM project with Nature Scotland, was the moderator for this session. And so it was clear from this session that the impact COVID-19 is having, because these work packages in terms of developing MPAs and management plans for specific species, they do involve a lot of public consultation with a variety of stakeholders, and it was obviously clear, given the impacts of COVID and the travel and restrictions on meeting people face to face, that new ways of working needed to be found. It was also recognized that there is a potential overlap of some of the work with the projects. For example, the regional MPAs being developed and some of the more local management plans related to specific species like salmon. There would definitely be overlap there, and an obvious potential for collaboration. And so again, the idea would be to establish a cross-project MPA group on the back of this, where they would share best practice. They could potentially organize joint stakeholder engagement events where there is that overlap. And they would ensure that the data and recommendations from, for example, the specific species and local area management plans would be incorporated into the larger regional MPA plans.